Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo, and today's lesson is about what should you do with these higher end homes. For example, in my area, Texas, 500,000 and above home, 300,000 above home. Because where I live, the average medium home is about 150, $200,000. So when you get a lead that is above average home, higher end homes, luxury homes, usually most investors don't want to fuck with those kind of types of deals because they don't know what to do with them, because they don't cash flow positively when you rent them out, and it costs a lot of money. So instead of buying a $500,000 house cash, most investors want to buy fix and flips, in the $150,000 because they could get more bang for their money. Now, if you get leads like that, I get a lot of leads like that. And so I was just thinking, how can I solve these problems? Because unless that $500,000 home, they're willing to sell it for $250,000, I'm not gonna fuck with that house, okay? Because in this area, these homes don't sell because, especially where I live, because they're competing with builders, okay? But now, I'm gonna show you a quick trick and way you give an offer to a seller to convince them to give you the deal. So instead of going to the seller and saying, hey, I want to buy your house for cash and you have to sell it to me at 50 cents on a dollar. 1 second. Lucky, come on. Lucky. Lucky. Sorry guys, my dog's out there. I want to make sure he comes. So instead of, the seller calls you and you tell them, good boy. Instead of the seller calls you and you tell them, hey, I need to buy your house at 50 cents on a dollar, which most of these sophisticated sellers that have these luxury homes, they're not going to want to do that. So what I tell them is, okay, Mr. Seller, I have a buyer's list of, entrepreneurs that have cash that can't get a loan to people with large down payments that can't get a loan. And what I can do for you is that since you don't want to sell your house at a deep discount, and I don't want to buy this house as a term because, I can't rent it out, and so it's not something I could want to do. What I can do for you is help you structure a deal where I position you as being a lender, which allows you to get a big chunk of money up front, and it also allows you to get a monthly cash flow every month. Plus, it'll allow you to get a back-end, and I'll explain what all this means, back-end profit. And at the same time, what I'm going to do is not only structure this deal, but I'm also going to find you a buyer that's going to have a big down payment to give you. And in return, all I'm going to ask is I'm going to ask half the money for the down payment, or I'm going to ask 60% of the money on the down payment, or I'm going to ask 100%, or whatever you guys can negotiate, okay? And so basically what I'm doing for the seller is put it under contract, and I'm going to send it out to my retail buyers. Lucky! I'm going to send out to my retail buyers, and I'm going to help the seller structure the deal because I know I have the paperwork, I know the title companies, I know how to structure this deal to make it as safe for the seller and as safe for the buyer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to structure the deal in a way that the seller becomes the lender. He creates a new note, and he's going to get a large down payment and monthly cash flow and a back-end profit. And all I'm going to do is structure the deal, find him the buyer, take it to the right title company or attorney that can structure this deal. And for all this, he's going to pay for my experience and expertise in my buyer and half the down payment. So if I'm getting a $50,000 down payment, I'm going to need 25. If I'm getting a $100,000 down payment, I'm going to get 25. 1 second, guys. I'm going to walk my dogs in here. They're all going to kill each other. All right, we still live?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, coming to the story, what I like to do is create a win-win situation. If a guy calls me, he has a $2 million home, I might have some cash buyers or retail, not cash buyers, I might have some retail buyers that may have $1 million businesses and Maybe they can't get a loan because they have so many rental properties. Or I might have a self-business owner that has success and he's making good money, but he can't get a loan because the bank won't give him any money because he's self-employed. The same situation that happened to me, that's actually the reason I got into real estate business. So what I'm talking about right now is when you get these expensive luxury homes, what you should try to do is first buy it for cash at a deep discount. If the seller's not willing to do that, try to do terms. But if the situation is where you can't do a positive cash flow, then and the seller doesn't want to do a term, they're not willing to do a subject to, they're not willing to just let you take over the payments, then what you want to do at this time is say, Mr. Seller, I'm going to bring my expertise, I'm going to bring all my paperwork, I'm going to bring you a buyer, and I'm going to help you structure this whole deal, okay? And in return, I'm going to want half the down payment. I'm going to want all the down payment. I'm going to want 70%, whatever you guys can negotiate. And the incentive for the seller is that besides you doing all the stuff from bringing the paperwork, the expertise, the buyer, the attorneys that can construct these deals, because that's cost money. You know, it took a long time to know this information. Most attorneys, if you talk to, or realtors, they don't know how to structure these types of deals, and they'll tell you, hey, it's not legal, where in reality it happens all the time. I'm having a deal close hopefully tomorrow, subject to. Just had a deal closed a couple of months ago that was subject to. So these things happen, but these attorneys don't know. These majority, now the ones that are like board certified, they specialize in subject twos, then of course they know. But the average attorney doesn't know. The average realtor doesn't understand these concepts. So that seller, that $1 million home seller, that luxury seller is going to pay you for your expertise, for you bringing a buyer, and you know where to take it to the title company or the attorney to draw up these paperwork. Okay, and in return, he's going to give you half the down payment. That's what I always negotiate, half or more. All right. Now, here's the benefit to the seller. This is very, very crucial. The benefit to the seller, the way you pitch it is that, hey, Mr. Seller, okay, I'm going to be able to put you in a safe positioning because we're going to create it. And you know, which is number one, but two, we're going to create a deed of trust, which that buyer that I'm going to get you, he's going to pledge the collateral back to you in case he defaults, okay? So that's number one. I'm going to put you in a safe positioning, and the attorney's going to draw all that up at a title company, my attorney that knows this stuff, not just some average lame Joe attorney, okay? Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you're going to have 3 phases of making money, Mr. Seller. Number one is that the big down payment. Okay. Number two is that, let's say, Mr. Seller, your monthly payments on this mortgage is $1,000 a month. When we sell this to this buyer, we're going to charge that buyer $1,500 a month. So every month you're going to get $500 positive, because when this buyer gives you the $1,500, when this buyer gives you the $1,500, then what you're gonna do is pay your mortgage $1,000. You're gonna pocket that $500 in your pocket. So that's the second way, Mr. Seller, that you're gonna benefit from structuring a deal like this. The third way is the back end. Is the back end profit, and the back end profit is, Mr. Seller. Let's say this is a $500,000 home, and it's worth $500,000. But you're able to sell it now for $520,000 or $530,000 or $500,000. You get my point. You're able to sell it higher because you're providing financing, which is favorable for this type of buyers that I have in my list. So as you can see, Mr. Seller, not only are you put in a safe positioning, 2, you're going to get a large down payment, 3, you're going to get a monthly payment, and 4, you're going to get that back-end profit. And so what I do is, hey, I'm bringing the expertise, I'm bringing the paperwork, I'm bringing the buyer, I'm bringing the title company, and I'm going to help you structure this whole fucking deal for you. And all I'm asking for is half the down payment. You still have 3 other ways to make money, which is the monthly payments and the back end. And sometimes the seller says, well, how do I, what if the buyer doesn't make the payments? And I say, hey, Mr. Seller, that's a great question. If I was in your shoes, I would feel the same exact way. Let me go ahead and answer that for you. the people that we're going to put in these properties, they're not renters, okay? They have the mindset of owning this property, and they're going to give you a large down payment, which means they're going to have skin in the game, okay? So that's number one. But Mr. Seller, remember the point I made number one, which is I'm going to put you in a safe positioning. And what that means is that if this buyer, he defaults, he doesn't make your monthly payments, you have that deed of trust. You can just foreclose on him and take the property back. And now here's a good thing. You get to keep all his down payment. You get to keep all the monthly payments that he's made to you. Let's say he owns the house for 4 years. In this whole 4 years, Mr. Seller, this buyer's been making payments to you, payments, and meanwhile, while they've been making payments, you've been having your principal reduction significantly. Now that this buyer defaults, you're benefiting on the equity that that buyer built. So not only do you get the collateral, which is the house, but you also get the fucking equity. And that's because we structure it in a way that it protects you, because we're investors and we know how to set these up. And that's why you're gonna pay me this big chunk of down payment, like the 50%. Okay, now, another question that sellers may ask, do you remember, I kind of blanked out. There's a big old bug in front of me right here, and I'm scared of bugs. So they may ask, excuse me guys, how do I know if the buyer's gonna make the monthly payments? That's primary question they ask. And the secondary question they always ask is,
how do I know you're gonna keep making the monthly payments?
No, that's a good question. That's associated with the same one, because the buyer's going to have a skin in the game. You know, they're going to pay that big down payment. Okay. Now they always ask, well, let me just pay you what I'm going to pay a realtor for you to do this. And I always say, sir, I'm not a realtor. Number one. Okay. Number two, I know way much more the realtor does. I'm gonna do way much more what the realtor does here, because I got a structured deal, I gotta bring my paperwork. Man, it took me all these years to become an expert in how to structure these deals. The stuff that I know, you go to an average attorney, they're not gonna know all that stuff. You gotta go to a specialist. So I can't do it's 3% or 6%. A, because I'm not a realtor, and B, I'm worth a lot more, okay? Now, what I'm gonna need is I'm gonna need 50% of this fucking deal, or I'd rather just pay you cash. I just tell them, hey dude, I don't want anyone to do it this way, dude. I'm doing you a fucking favor because I really want to buy your house at 50% off. Your house is worth $500. I'm ready to throw some cash into a briefcase, see at the title company for $250. I'm doing you a fucking favor to try to help you move your property, because I have this list already, and I'm an expert, and I really believe in helping people. But my time is worth money, okay? And hey, I need to get 50% or I need to get 100%, because you're gonna have the monthly cash flow, you're gonna have the back end profit, and dude, you don't have to pay all those fucking realtor commissions, because when you sell with a realtor, you're gonna pay all those commissions. You know, does that make sense? So you get to save and all that stuff. Plus, I put you in a safe positioning. Plus, you get the monthly cash flow. Plus, you get the back end. So in a sense, Mr. Seller, instead of this being a liability, this house being a liability for you, and every month you're paying for it, now it's become an income producing asset. And I help you structure this deal so that you have a positive cash flow, because I'm an expert and you're gonna pay for that. Okay? So if they ask you, well, just let me pay you as a realtor, this is what I would tell them, okay? Honestly, I'm doing you a favor, dude. I really wanna buy it cash, I really wanna buy it terms, but if I can't do any of this, I'd rather just help you out, because I already spent time and energy talking to you. So let me solve your problem, because I know what to do. I'm an expert. I'm not a realtor. I demand to get paid more. Okay? So those are basically the two things you ask. You'll have variation, like Soraya just said. Hey, well, how do I know the buyer's going to make the payments? Well, how do I know the buyer's not going to default? Or how do I know the buyer's not going to tear up the property? Okay? So those are good, kind of same exact things. One other thing that came to my mind is that another benefit when you're talking to the seller, to persuade them, or I don't want to use the word persuasion, because I don't persuade anybody. I just tell them their benefits and I educate them, and I'll let them choose, because either way I'm going to make money one way or another. It doesn't matter, even if I don't get the deal, because I do sales alignment, guys, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. I'm going to make money one way or another, today or in the future. It doesn't matter, dude. Okay? So coming back to the story, sometimes the sellers will be like, well, man, it's been a long day. I've been working all day. I can't remember everything. But hopefully you guys remember what I'm trying to tell you is that if you get these luxury homes, don't just say adios amigos and just turn away, dude. Or if you can't get it for cash, you can't get it for terms, do what I like to do. Do the American dream, but with the alteration. And the alteration is, instead of you closing on it and then you rehabbing it, what you're gonna do is do the American dream, find a buyer, structure a deal, help the seller structure a deal, make him the fucking lender, create a new note, do a wrap, and then just negotiate the big lumps of the money up front, all of it, the down payment or half of it, however you see fit, guys. Okay? So now I just showed you a trick. I think in the Dallas area, maybe in your area as well, these expensive homes are not selling, but the average homes, the first-time home buyers are selling like crazy, guys. Go out there and hustle and bustle. Don't take no for an answer. As you can see, I've been working all day and I'm still fucking working. Sometimes the brain goes dead. But either way, I'm still fucking grinding it out, dude, because you just gotta show the fuck up, dude. That's all that matters, you just show up. So don't take no for an answer. Fucking naysayer. Make your dreams come true, gang. See you later.